All right. We are back here at Song of the Day, coming to you from the Rock Cave. I'm your host, Mark Pierce. It's Thursday, Thirsty Thursday. For those of you who are thirsty, it is Thursday. We are back. We've been back and forth with episodes. They've been, few and far between. We should get a little bit more uptake by the second half of January, but I'm going to do my best over the next couple of weeks to get some more out there. What have you guys been listening to? Did you open up your cassettes and your albums and your CDs under the Christmas tree and start listening to them? Those were the glory days of music, were they not? What did I get? Now you just look at your phone, download. Anyway, there's a lot of great records in 2024 turning 40 and 50, so we're going to cover those this year, and today's topic is neither of those. So this record is turning 55 next week. We're talking about the debut record from Led Zeppelin. We did all the Led Zeppelin records in season 1 and 2, I think, but we really haven't covered them since, and I wanted to start off this year with just some kick-ass rock and roll. So that's what we're doing today. Remember, a little history lesson here. July of 1968, the Yardbirds disband. A couple of founding members leaves Jimmy Page basically with the rights to the name and the band before they were supposed to head off to Scandinavia for a tour. And it was a contractual obligation. So he was like, let me call up some of my mates here and see if they can do something for me. Brings in session bassist John Paul Jones. And he was looking for a singer. I think he was, who were they trying to get? They were trying to get a singer that turned him down. Can't remember who it was, but somebody turned them down. But that person recommended Robert Plant, who was in Band of Joy. That was the name of the record. And so he came on board and he brought John Bonham with him, who was in Band of Joy. And they named themselves the New Yardbirds. Much like Spinal Tap, the originals, and then the new originals, the New Yardbirds. I don't think they called them that for themselves for too long, but they did do some music over in Scandinavia. Then they really hit it off, and they head back, change their name, because they're told they cannot continue using that name. And one of the stories everyone knows is that they were trying to kick around the name, and they said, well, I'm sure this band is going to go over like a lead balloon or something like that. And they got someone else said like a Led Zeppelin, and they were like, L-E-A-D. Oh, we're going to spell that lead. We can't be Lead Zeppelin's Led, L-E-D. And it was, that's what they did. So, interestingly, they went to, when they went to one of the countries they went to, they were going to get sued by the family of the Hindenburg. So they had to call themselves the Knobs for the tour that night. But anyway, this was really fast. They got together in August of '68, do some rehearsals. Next thing you know, in September, they're rehearsing for an album. They're like starting to put together an album. No record deal, no nothing, and they do it in a matter of 36 hours or something. They finally get signed to Atlantic. Atlantic is a lot of blues and jazz bands, and one of their artists, Dusty Springfield, is working on a record, and she says, hey, you got to check these guys out. Now, I don't know how this story goes. I've been trying to read about it, but for some reason, they trusted this and gave them $160,000 advance, which was unheard of, and signed them unseen, because they wanted to get in the progressive rock camp and start to try to get into that money. So that's what they did, and next thing you know, they put out a record, and they're on a U.S. tour, December 26th, 1968. They kick it off in Denver. They play places like the Whiskey A Go-Go, the Fillmore, tiny clubs in Boston, the Fillmore East, and they completed their tour, and then they were off to the races. This tour came about because Canned Heat or someone canceled the tour, and they had the same manager, and they said, well, we'll fill in for them and just do the tour. It was Jeff Beck Group, not Canned Heat, Jeff Beck Group. So anyway, I messed up on that one. It happens. So anyway, this record comes out. Rolling Stone trashes it, and so much so that Led Zeppelin pretty much has no relationship with Rolling Stone magazine the rest of their career. And who can blame them? I barely agreed with all the critics in Rolling Stone. If Rolling Stone gave it 1 star, I bought it. 1 star, I bought it. Chances are I liked it. They gave it 5 stars. It was crap. right into the garbage. But not everyone hated this record. Definitely blues rock. They had a couple of Willie Dixon covers in there, but this, when you look back on it, you're like, this is the beginning of some really, really good stuff. Now these guys are 20, 21 years old. Robert Plant was 20, 21, and he's singing these blues songs, which is, just think about that for a minute. But the rest songs on these record: Good Times, Bad Times, Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You, You Shook Me, Dazed and Confused, the magnum opus, along with Cashmere. Great stuff there. Flip that record over. Your Time Is Gonna Come, Black Mountainside, Communication Breakdown, I Can't Quit You Baby, and How Many More Times. Wow, so many songs to choose from. Mark, how are you going to figure out song of the day? First of all, Dazed and Confused would be too easy, and I wanted to do a rocker, so that was off the list. So it narrowed it down to two. It was Communication Breakdown or Good Times, Bad Times. I listened to those a few times, and Good Times, Bad Times just really just edged out by a nose. Now think about this 20-year-old Robert Plant singing Good Times, Bad Times. We've had them all. He's been through his share. Something about in his youth, he was taught what it took to be a man, and now he's reflecting back at 20, and he fell in love at 16, and a few days later she was sick of him and moved out of the house. These kinds of things. But anyway, let me just tell you that song of the day is Good Times, Bad Times. This is totally worth it, but I am going to mention another song, which is How Many More Times, an 8-minute song that I don't ever remember hearing, but when I got the documentary on Led Zeppelin and they had these outtakes on there, I'm going to post it below, but they went on Danish TV in 1969. It's all in black and white, and they do an amazing performance of a lot of songs, but one of them is How Many More Times, and I saw this and I was like, what the heck is this? This was like 20 years ago I saw this, and I was like, I cannot believe it. Black and white on this small stage in this room with these teenagers who are just sitting there, just sitting on the ground, just like, okay, like they're like, what is this music we're listening to? We don't know who you are. He introduces the band, introduces the guys, and so they don't even know what they're seeing at the time. And Jimmy Page plays his guitar with the bow. It's an amazing performance. So you got to check out How Many More Times. Awesome song. But your song of the day is the 55-year-old Good Times, Bad Times. I still have yet to speak to anyone who saw Led Zeppelin in concert originally. Anyone out there? I'd love to hear it. But anyway, that's your song of the day. Good old kick-ass rock and roll on this day, January 2024. Crank it up. And as usual, I'll catch you on the flip side.